providing great writers and people who help those writers put out an edition every week is really an important institution in our city and our state. That's what the Reader is. It's an institution. And people have grown up with the Reader. It's important that you learn about our city every which way, not just from the mainstream media that oftentimes is corporate owned, but from the folks who make up the Reader and its readership. And we want to make sure that the plutocrats who own the opportunity to put out the Reader every week understand that there are a lot of hardworking women and men who put their soul, their whole lives into this publication. We've got to make sure that we preserve the Reader. That information that you convey to literally millions of people is vital if we're going to have a strong democracy. We have to have the gift of democracy if we're going to be a government of the people. But in order to have a government of the people, we have to have a free press, a press that speaks out and points out to the people what needs to be improved and what needs to be reformed. That's why the Reader is such a vital institution in Illinois, in Chicago, everywhere. And the people who labor and put their work and their time and their talent into putting out the Reader every week deserve a decent and fair wage and working conditions and benefits and retirement. That's what middle class life is all about in America. And we cannot allow the plutocrats who are out there to break unions, to break the opportunity to work hard and get a decent wage. I wanted to come today. I want to thank Dave Roeder and all those who helped organize today. But most of all, the people who are the Reader, who are the institution that has made our lives better in Illinois and Chicago. And together, we're going to do what we always have to do when we have a movement. A movement is made up of thoughtful, committed people banding together for a cause we believe in. I believe in the cause of the Reader. And it's early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and organize. Thank you very much.
You know, Governor Quinn makes a very important point. He talks about the plutocrats. I want to take a quick survey. How many of you make over $1 million a year? I want to see you raise your hands. Anybody? See, the paper is owned by millionaires, right? And I don't hate millionaires. I don't want it to come across like that. But look what rich people have done to journalism. They've shrunk it. They've neglected it. And what has that given us? It gave us Donald Trump, right? It gave us a society that doesn't rely on information and facts to make decisions. It relies on sexism and potty humor and things that go to baser human emotions to communicate with the public. That's why when I come out to rallies like this for the Reader and other publications where we represent workers, the institution of journalism needs to have more support, not just from us here, the public, but also from the people who want to try to shape what our society looks like. If they want to do us a real service, they would pay more attention to institutions like this. You know, I was talking about Alderman Riley earlier and all the great things that we do here to support working people, and we talk about earned sick time and things like that. We have more aldermen that we want to hear, people that are here standing with you today, people who support the cause, support working people. And the next one that I'd like to introduce is Alderman from here from the city of Chicago, Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa.
Thank you, Brother Ryder. As Bob said, my name is Carlos Ramirez Rosa, and I'm very proud to represent 55,000 working people from the northwest side of Chicago's Alderman of the 35th Ward. And I want to thank Nicholas, a fellow at the Chicago Newspaper Guild, for inviting me here today. See, today is a great day because it is a reminder that Chicago is a union town. I have my CTU read on today because this morning thousands of parents, teachers, and students walked into their schools to stand up for equitable funding for our babies, for our children, and our neighborhood schools. And I got energized, I got pumped up, and now I'm standing here with you, people from Chicagoland who care deeply about this important institution. See, growing up as a kid in Chicago that loved Star Wars and that loved politics, there was something at the Chicago Reader for a while called Cloud City. Anyone remember that? It was a blog. And for almost, to me it felt like a decade, maybe it was shorter than that, but it was updated nearly every single day with hard-hitting journalism, with facts that made us question how our city was being governed, how our state was being governed. That is the critical role that journalism plays. It's there to hold the politicians, the government, the rich and powerful to account. It's there to expose the inequities and the truth. And in this day and age of Breitbart and Fox News, where we have boiled down talking points and lies, institutions like the Chicago Reader are more important than ever. So that's why I'm here, to stand with my sisters and brothers at the Chicago newspaper guild, because in some instances, they're not only my constituents, if you're out there, hey, how you doing? But they also are invaluable citizens that do such a tremendous job on behalf of Chicago taxpayers, on behalf of working people. So give them a round of applause. Now folks, you know what they call when you haven't gotten a pay increase in 10 years? You know what they call that? They call that a pay cut. See, the rent goes up, the cost of milk goes up, your cost of living goes up, but your wages stay stagnant. And what's happened to our sisters and brothers at the Chicago Reader isn't unique. It's happening all across this country. Right? It's happening all across this country to workers everywhere, where their wages have remained stagnant. Yet we are producing more wealth in this country than we ever have before. Do you know where that wealth is going? It's going to the top 1%. It's going to the top. So while we're working longer hours than we ever have before, while we haven't seen a pay increase in a generation, they're getting richer and richer and richer, and they're just sitting on this money, which to me just doesn't make sense. And so I'm here today to call on the management of the Chicago Reader to invest in this Chicago gem, to invest in quality journalism in the city of Chicago, to give these workers the pay increase that they deserve. Are you in agreement? So we're gonna march, we're gonna chant, we're gonna bust out Scabby the Rat, and just know that they can count on my support and they can count on the support of so many of us in the Chicago City Council. Thank you.
You know, Alderman Rosa makes a great point, not having a raise in 10 years. That's a pay cut. You know what else it is? It's bullshit. And I tell you, who thinks that not getting a raise in 10 years is bullshit? Come on, let me hear you. You know, when we start talking about stuff like this, I get fired up. Chicago's the hometown of the American labor movement, right? This is where we had people die for the 8-hour workday. This is where steel workers were murdered on the south side of Chicago fighting for fairness in the mills, right? We do it here every day. There's more local ones here in Chicago than anywhere else in the country. And that's why it's important. And that's why we have aldermen. That's why we have Pat Quinn, who are always out there fighting for working people, right? Because we are this city, we are this community. And the Reader's always been representative of that. You know, we talk about, you know, the Reader, as Alderman Rosa said, covering the important issues in the city of Chicago, talking about, you know, what it is that makes this a community. And I taught, you know, I was at city council, or I was at the county board yesterday fighting for things like earned sick time. And the next alderman I'm going to bring up is the alderman who started pushing this conversation forward, right? An alderman who's never afraid to go after these provocative issues on labor rights, on consumer rights. Someone who's been who's a very good friend of mine, and I think gets policy and gets the working class like no one else.